Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo wrote for the ACLJ, "This Independence Day, remember what makes America great." That's exclusive. That's up at aclj.org. Secretary Pompeo is joining us now. And we know, Secretary, that it's become trendy not just to bash political opponents on the left, to bash like the right, but the idea of attacking the United States of America has become trendy on the left. And you kind of write back about why it's not just important as a country, but why it is important to teach a positive message about the United States. I know it sometimes seems strange that we're having to say this, but we are, and what makes America great.
You know, Jordan, it does seem strange that you have to remind people how blessed they are to carry that blue passport, to be an American citizen. We see these folks trying to come into our country illegally, and we try to stop it, but we do have to remember they're coming here for a reason. We're so fortunate. We live in such a privileged place in the greatest nation in the history of civilization. And frankly, Jordan, in spite of all the challenges we face, we live at one of the greatest times in American history too. The opportunity for the next generation is spectacular. But if we get it wrong and we teach this next generation that somehow this nation is racist and we're the problem in the world, and the power structures are somehow inherently corrupted, and we don't recognize that we can fix it, that we have the capacity to get this right. If we don't teach our kids about our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence and the things that have built this country, then we put it at risk, and a lot more risk there from the inside than there is from any of our foreign adversaries.
You know, Mike, this current administration was proposing a ministry of disinformation and a disinformation czar. They had proposed that. It didn't go through, but they have clearly, the evidence is now showing that they were putting their thumbs on the scale, especially as it relates to the social media companies. There was a good decision came out of a judge yesterday, actually July 4th, where he said that the government was exercising viewpoint discrimination. And we've argued a series of viewpoint discriminations at the Supreme Court. The case is now going on appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. But this is where you have to guard your liberties aggressively to protect what is, as you said, the greatest time to be alive in the greatest country in the world.
It's so true. And you've lived this, and the ACLJ has lived this. And not only that, you have caused it. You have been a protector of these fundamental rights. This organization is truly central to this, and you are to be applauded for that. And those who have contributed to the organization should be applauded for that as well. But the fight's not over. This decision from this Louisiana federal court in Louisiana, fantastic. I know Attorney General Landry pretty well. Good stuff. But this fight's going to continue. To watch the government try to ban speech based on its viewpoint, its content, is at the very core, Jay. You fought this. You would know the law better than I'll ever know it. But it's just a common sense matter. I don't want to deny progressive leftists from saying stupid things, right? Let 1,000 flowers compete for the American mind. I have confidence in the American people. But when the government steps in and uses viewpoint to discriminate and censor, two things happen. One, we miss the ideas. And second, I think everybody starts to self-censor. People start not saying things they truly believe. And that's how republics fall, Jay. And I'm so glad that the ACLJ is there working tirelessly on so many fronts to protect it every day. If we get this wrong, if we get this freedom wrong and we allow government to begin to claim something is disinformation because it's undesirable from their perspective, bad things follow, Jay. You know that.
Yeah. And again, up at aclj.org, this exclusive piece by Secretary Pompeo, this Independence Day, remember what makes America great. We encourage you. We also want you to share that with your friends and family. Go to aclj.org and do that. And we know, Secretary Pompeo, that the world watches that discourse in the United States. And so, again, it's one thing to have a robust fight within our country, again, on the principles that we have, who we want to elect in our elections, but this idea that we can't then rally back around the flagpole, that idea, again, it is something that other countries watch carefully, the divisions within the United States, and this ability for us to say, after an election or after a fight, we might be upset that we might have, lost and we might win some, but that we all still come together as Americans. And if we don't do that, the world takes notice.
No doubt about it. They not only take notice, Jordan, but they're working to propagandize and to fuel that anti-Americanism within our own country. I'm sure you all, Jay, Jordan, you've seen some of the data that's come out over the past handful of weeks suggesting that Americans are less patriotic than they used to be. I don't know exactly what question they asked or exactly what that meant, but I do know that for an awfully long time, we've been teaching in our schools ideas that run counter to the American narrative, an American narrative of continued efforts to be more perfect as a nation. And so as we pass through the 4th of July, we should be mindful that there is when Xi Jinping in China talks about American decline, it is only going to happen if we permit it to, and we stop teaching our kids about the greatness of our country. So we have to get this right. We had, to your point, when elections are over, it's time to move forward, to win the next one, to compete in the intellectual space. I hope folks running for school board and city councils and for Congress, wherever it may be, I hope they'll compete in the ideas world, not in the name calling world. I hope they'll get that part right. I hope they'll make arguments and use reason to win and to convince people, no, vote for me because I will deliver a better outcome for you, your family, your community, your small business, whatever that might be. If we get that right, we're going to be just fine. And if we don't, we'll be the goodness for our republic. Our founders knew this. They talked about this country and this Constitution are only fit for virtuous people. We need to own that and live up to it.
You wrote, when you were the Secretary of State, you had a commission on inalienable rights and to celebrate and rededicate our efforts to uphold these values at home and abroad. Obviously, it was needed. And I think it's important for the American people to understand what your goal was with that, because I think some of that's lacking today. And that it goes back to wherever you are on the political landscape, it's still the greatest country, and there's no place else I'd rather live than the United States of America.
Yeah, what I was trying to do was, and we got sued like 300 times when we created this commission by human rights groups, oddly. We were trying to reground America's foreign policy and human rights tradition in the American understanding of that, like how it is our founders knew that protection of private property mattered, that every human being was endowed by their creator with unalienable rights. I wanted to go take back the State Department's role in articulating this fundamental truth about America. So that's what the commission was aimed at. Hope folks will take a minute to go read the report. It's a little hard to find these days because the Biden State Department pulled it off of the main part of the website. It's still out there, but it shouldn't be controversial. All 10 of the commissioners from various faith backgrounds, and if you look at them, different political backgrounds, could all agree our Constitution matters, our understanding of America's place in the world as a force for good. These things matter. And when we get them wrong, young kids who volunteer to be a Marine or in the Navy or the Air Force, their jobs will get harder, we'll be less secure, and our country will be less prosperous. True. Our founders had it nailed. The Federalist Papers explained it all pretty well, Jay. And if we can constantly remind ourselves of that and teach it to the next generation, we'll be just fine.
All right,
appreciate
folks,
it.
We encourage you to go to aclj.org and share that article, the Independence Day. Remember what makes America great. That's exclusive to the ACLJ.